we've all got a story, right? We all have a story. But the question is, what do you do with that story? Do you let that story hold you down? Do you let that story create certain beliefs to hold you down and to prevent you from getting ahead? Or do you just turn around and just say, you know what? I don't care about my past. I'm going to create the future that I want regardless. So this is the future that I want, so I'm going to create it. So obviously that's the direction that we should be going in. Because I mean, I can tell you that I've been in some deep dark holes in the past. Like I've had many moments in my life where I just didn't like a lot of things about my life. I didn't like my job, or was living paycheck to paycheck. Those struggles are other struggles. Didn't like the way that I speak, didn't like the way that I interacted with other people. Now, that's all well and good, right? It's good to sort of be aware and realize that there are things that you don't like in your life. But I think the most important thing, other than awareness, being aware that things are going on, because you can't change anything if you're not aware that these things need to be changed, right? So awareness is important. It's probably one of the most important steps because it's the first step. But then after that, what you do, the steps that you take, they can be crucial as well. So for example, what I mentioned before, playing the victim, talking about how bad life is, you just end up getting into a negative cycle. You end up getting into like a negative loop, right? And once that happens, then that becomes your personality. What you think about becomes what you focus on, and what you focus on just really becomes like it forces certain habits, forces you to think in a negative way all the time. Man, these lights red for ages. Finally. Anyway, so so if you go down that road and you start thinking about how bad you've got it, and you start focusing on how bad things are, because really that's what you're doing. You're focusing on the bad, right? And then you end up in this negative cycle. So I believe in this perception projection loop. So if you focus on the negative things in your life and how bad things are, then all you're going to see are just bad things in people. Just you're going to end up being, what I'm trying to say is that you're going to end up being one of those one of those people that see the glass half empty kind of people. That's what you're going to end up being. But you don't want to be that, because the longer that you end up doing that, the harder it's going to be to undo that. Then you just you get into a cycle, and you end up being like that for longer and longer and longer, and it's really hard to come out of that hole. Whereas if you realize very early on that there is something that you don't like about your life, then you can make those changes. You can really make those changes according to how you want your life to be, how you want your life to go, right? Whoa, super bumpy. So now you know what not to do. Now you know that you shouldn't be playing the victim. You shouldn't be whinging, chucking a tantrum like a 2-year-old, because then you're just going to become one of those people that, and I'm sure you've come across those people as well. You've come across those people at some stage that all they do is whinge. All they do is whinge and complain about how bad life is. You don't want to be like that. You don't want to be that kind of person, right? But the thing is, a lot of the time when you are that person, you don't even realize that you're doing it until somebody points it out. Because sometimes it's hard to figure out, it's hard to know the kind of person that you're being, because you're just being around other people. You're just, sort of being yourself. A lot of it, you're not really thinking, you're not really putting too much thought about what you're saying. You are to a certain degree, but like you're not really hyper focused on every single sentence and everything that you're saying. But yeah, so you don't want to be one of those people that's just negative. Everything's bad. I'm a victim. Life has treated me badly, and such is life. I can't make any changes. But I don't believe that. I believe that if you want your life to be a certain way, then it's up to you to take life by the reins, control it, to make it what you want it to be. Because if you don't do that, you're leaving it up to other people to control your life. You know what I mean? And when other people are in control of your life, it's not going to be to your advantage. It's not going to be to your benefit. Not going to be in your benefit. It's always going to be to theirs, right? So the more that you're aware of what's happening in your life, the more you can make changes to your life, and the more positivity you can bring into your life, and the more you can make your life and turn your life into what you want it to be. It's that simple. So I firmly believe, right? I strongly believe that the very first step to come out of that negative loop, to come out of that negative hole, is to first have a lot of gratitude. Gratitude. So what do I mean by that? Just try every single day, try and find a couple of things that you're happy about in your life. And you're probably in the situation right now where you're probably thinking, I don't have anything to be happy for. But I guarantee that if you stop and you really think about it, and you move away from the distractions, you'll figure out, and you will realize that there are many things for you to be thankful for. You just don't see it because you're stuck in this negative loop. That's why you don't see all the things that you should be thankful for. Once you come out of that negative loop, then you're going to see all the positive things that are in your life. You're going to say, oh yeah, first of all, I'm alive and I'm breathing, right? So I've got the gift of life. So that's first and foremost. So then, there are so many things that we take for granted until we see somebody in a worse off situation. Like, for example, you're probably walking around and you're thinking, oh yeah, my life is pretty shit, and my life is full of doom and gloom, and I don't have this and I don't have that. So then you start focusing on the things that you don't have rather than focusing on the things that you do have. So first of all, like I mentioned before, you've got the gift of life. Second of all, there's a very high chance that you've got 10 of your fingers, 10 of your toes, you've got 2 legs, 2 arms. You might say, oh yeah, but everybody else does. Well, no, there are people out there that don't have legs, that don't have arms. They're not able to get around very easily like you are able to. Like, you can, at the drop of a hat, you can just get up out of your chair, and you can just go for a walk or go for a run. You know how many people are not able to do that? So be grateful that you are able to do these things and you have your arms, you have your legs. So many things that we take for granted that other people don't have, that we do have. But yeah, so just exercise gratitude. Gratitude, like I said before. Just focus on the things that you do have as opposed to the things that you don't have. So that's a really good start right there. And you know what happens when you start exercising gratitude? When you start exercising gratitude and you start looking at the positive things, you will start to see more and more positivity in your life. And then you're going to start, it has this magical way of opening your eyes. It's getting hot in here. Cold outside, but hot inside. Move, buddy. Oh, daydreamer, now we missed it. But anyway, so yeah, so when you start exercising gratitude, gratitude has a magical way of helping you to open your eyes to more positivity in your life, right? To help you see all the things that you didn't see before. So I think that is super important for you to be able to do that. And just like how I explain negativity breeds more negativity, positivity is the same thing. So when you start showing, gratitude, and you start thinking of all the positive things in your life, and you start thinking about all the good things in your life, then you're gonna slowly open your eyes more and more to all of the good things that you have in your life. You're going to start seeing the glass half full as opposed to half empty. So rather than being the negative person at work, for example, like I mentioned before, you might have that person that, you see at work, you say, hey buddy, how's things? And they'll say, oh yeah, another day, another 50 cents. Or they'll say things like, oh yeah, living the dream, with sarcasm. Rather than being like that, you're going to end up being the kind of person that sees a job as a really good thing. You'll start to see your job as, as something that you're really happy to have. So instead of being the kind of person to be negative and get up in the morning and think, oh, I hate getting up early for work, oh, I'm also tired and never enough sleep and all doom and gloom, blah, blah, blah. So rather than that, all right, chill out. So rather than being that kind of person, you start seeing having a job as a positive thing. So you start to see it, you end up being proud to have your job, and you start being grateful for having your job, because then you realize how important it is. Let me ask you this: how would your life be without your job? Like if you were to lose your job, tomorrow, what would that mean for you? I really need you to stop and have a good think about that, because all this time, every now and then we whinge about our job, we whinge about getting up early and fighting traffic to go to work. But really, what does it mean? What does it mean to you if you were to lose your job tomorrow? First of all, obviously you would miss the pay, right? But what else would it mean? It would mean that you would have to get out there, and you would have to fix up your resume. You would have to, you would have to look for work. That's what that means. Do you want to do that? Are you prepared to do that? Does it make you open your eyes? Does it make you want to open up your eyes a little bit more and really look at your job for what it is? So, you start thinking, do I really dislike my job? Or am I just being a whinger? Am I just complaining because I'm not happy in another uh, another point of my life? Not point of my life. Another part of my life. Like whether it's your partner that you're unhappy with, um, where you live, maybe something else. Another part of your life is making you unhappy. But because you're unhappy in one aspect of your life, it's sort of filtering through, right, to other parts of your life. So then, rather than just looking at one aspect of your life as bad, you're looking at a lot of it as bad without putting much thought into it. But if you really, really think it through, right, you'll probably realize that it's just one or two things that you pinpoint it down to. It's just a matter of you figuring out what that thing or those few things are that you really want to change. The question is, what is it? But it's up to you to sit down. This is the thing that most people do. Most people don't sit down with themselves, with their thoughts. They're so afraid. They're so afraid of sitting down and listening to their thoughts. I don't know what it is. I've spoken to so many people that have said, oh, no, I have to have the music on. I have to have the radio on because I don't want to be alone with my thoughts. Oh, God, no. So what that tells me is that you're not able to control your thoughts. You're not able to just chill, quieten those monkeys in your head, as some meditators say. Calm the monkeys down that are jumping around and just be one with your thoughts. So then you can, once you become the observer of your thoughts, then you can control your thoughts more. You're not going to be able to control your thoughts until you sit down just on your own, no distractions, no music, just you and your thoughts. Just be the observer of your thoughts, and then you'll be able to see. Just imagine your thoughts sort of going past you kind of like a river, right? And you're like, oh yeah, why am I feeling angry about this? Why do I dislike that? It's, this particular person at work that's making me dislike the job. I like the job, but I dislike this person at work. Okay, what am I going to do about that? Things like that. Like, do I really want to leave this job that I like because of this banana, because of this person? Crap. Could have gone, but no. But yeah, so just things like that. I think it's something that so many people don't do. So many people don't observe their thoughts. So many people don't observe their thoughts. They don't even put much thought into it. Really, they don't put much thought into it. They don't, think about what's going through their heads. The thoughts that are passing through their minds. They're not thinking about that at all. And it's an easy pattern to get into. It's an easy habit to get into as well. But it's not ideal. I find it a bad habit to get into. I think it's a bad habit to not observe your thoughts. I think it's a bad habit to not sit there and just have a conversation with yourself, right? Talk to yourself like you would with a best friend. Like, you've got a good pal you haven't seen for a long time. What do? You sit down, you talk about life. Oh yeah, like my mum's going through some dementia and this, and oh no, what is she getting up to? This, that, blah, blah, blah. So, how are you dealing with it? So just the same, you would have a conversation with yourself. And that's how you come to discover things like I mentioned before. Like, you really break life down rather than just, you know, going into it blindly and not really putting much thought into it. I think it's important to sit down with yourself, sit down with your thoughts, so then you become the observer of your thoughts, and only then can you say to yourself, okay, I don't like this, I don't like that. What am I going to do? What am I going to do to change that? So I'm going to have to deal with this person at work that is making my life hard. I don't want to leave my job because I like the job. So I need to be able to handle this the right way. And then what happens then is you start putting plans in place. You start putting plans in place to take care of the situation that you knew that you should have taken care of a long time ago, rather than just, you know, sticking your head in the sand hoping that it will go away, because it's never going to go away. Your problems aren't going to go away. Your unhappiness, look at this banana, going to blend into a freeway going 100 and he's going, what, about 70? Oh dear Lord. Anyway, so your problems are not going to go away. Just because you're ignoring your problems doesn't mean that they don't exist. So the sooner you, hang on, we'll just change lanes. The sooner that you start observing your thoughts, you'll realize where you need to make the changes. And then once you start really studying your life and you start really looking into what needs to be changed, then and only then you're going to start coming up with ideal solutions. And I'm telling you, you'll surprise yourself. You will definitely surprise yourself, because you're going to be thinking, oh my God, I can't believe that I came up with this solution. You came up with this solution because you sat down and you thought about the problem. You know what I mean? Like, you're not going to come up with a solution if you're not thinking and studying your thoughts and studying the problem. That is the problem in the first place, that you're not thinking, you're not putting time aside to figure out properly what the problem is. So that's my take on things. So first show gratitude, right? So first figure out what about in your life that you're happy for, that you're grateful for. First, remember the gift of life, you know, your 10 toes, 10 fingers, you've got both your arms, both your legs, and everything else from there, right? I could focus on the negative shit too, but I don't, right? I could focus on the cold weather. Oh, the weather's so terrible, it's cold, blah, 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 blah. It was raining before and I just washed my car yesterday and look, now my car's dirty. All my effort's gone in vain. Yeah, I can sook and whinge and moan too. But is that going to get me anywhere? No, it's not. So every morning I have this routine. Every morning I have this routine and I start focusing on the things that I'm grateful for. You know, like my job. I still got to get up early, but I'm grateful for my job, because without it, I don't have a pay packet. I'm grateful for my car that I get to drive every single day. I'm super grateful for my family that I get the pleasure and privilege to be around on a daily basis. I get to be a part of this world on a daily basis. So that's where I started, and I recommend that you start with the same thing too. So start showing gratitude, because once you start showing gratitude, what's going to happen then is that you're going to start making your way down the positive path. You're going to go from negative and you're going to start sliding across to positivity. That's what's going to happen. And then you watch your life improve thereafter, because not only will you notice your life getting better, but other people will start realizing that there's something different about you as well. So the more positive you are, the more the more you tend to attract similar people. Like if you're one of those people that say to yourself, I really want a partner that's going to be positive and that wants to get out and do things, and I want a partner that's going to make me happy and smile. Well, if you want that kind of partner, then you need to be that person first, right? If you want to attract that person, that kind of person, then you need to start being that person yourself. Otherwise, you're not going to attract somebody like that. All you're going to attract, if you're negative, right? Lo and behold, who would have thought? Who would have thought? All you're going to attract is just another negative person, and you don't want that. So you change to become the person that you want to attract, and then you will have that person. You must first become the person that you want in your life. It's that simple. But at the end of the day, whether you're seeking a partner or not, right? It doesn't matter, because you becoming happier is what is the ultimate goal, right? So anyway, I hope that helps, and time for me to go. So I'll catch you on the next video. Take care of yourself.